Hariam. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashaധ്യായിനീം Amba Tvamanusandathami Bhagavad-gite Bhavatveshinim Namostate Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Phullaravindayatapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Tailapurnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vitraikaparnaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita-mృతదుహే Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gita-mృతం Mahat Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hariom everyone, good morning. Happy to be back. We are seeing Bhagavad Gita chapter 17 and we just finished tapas of speech. Bhagavan Sri Krishna is going through different indications that we can look at in our own lives to be able to figure out what kind of shraddha we have, whether we have sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic shraddha, and that shraddha will determine the quality of our life. And so we've seen so many different ones. Now we just finished seeing tapas, specifically of speech. In Sanskrit, there is a subhashita. I was going to give this in Sanskrit class, and I was like, oh, wait, this is a good example. There is a subhashita in Sanskrit that says, Kakaha Krishnaha, Pikaha Krishnaha. The crow is black, and the cuckoo is black also. Ko bheda pika kaka yoho. Between the crow and the cuckoo, what is the difference? Because if they're both black, then they look the same from far. And it goes on to say that it is at the time of spring, when they both start to sing, then you realize kakaha kakaha, pikaha pikaha, means the crow is a crow and the cuckoo is a cuckoo. From the time they open their mouth, then you know who is who really. And that is the same with our vak. When somebody opens their mouth, then you really know who that person is. Because people can say whatever, and even when they're speaking, eventually the truth comes out. Eventually the true colors of a person's words come out. So Bhagavan so nicely said last class, how our speech should be anudvegakaram. It should be unagitating. The goal of our speech should not be to cause any kind of agitation in our mind. We shouldn't be plotting, they said this to me when I meet them. This is what I'm going to say to them, then they'll see. That is not what we're supposed to be spending our time doing. Then satyam, it should be honest. Whatever we say, it should be true, not just made up. But at the same time as being honest, it also should be priyam. It should be beneficial. Meaning, I shouldn't say something with the that is true if it is not going to help. Like that doctor who comes and tells the man, you have 1 day to live and I forgot to tell you 1 week ago. I mean, really? How is that a nice thing to say? And then hitam, beneficial. It should be loving, it should be beneficial, and it should be measured, mitam. It should also be measured. So these are the different tests we can do for our own mind. They're like the QC um, categories of our mind before any speech comes out. Is it unagitating? Is it true? If it is true, is it sweet? If it is sweet, is it beneficial? And if it is beneficial, how can you say it in a measured way? And we saw Bhagavan Ram as the example of how this speech really can be demonstrated. Means this tapas of speech really can be demonstrated. Okay. Now, when you start to study these different aspects of tapas of body, tapas of speech, now tapas of mind is going to come today. That's a whole different level also. The question you ask yourself is, but why are we doing all this effort again? Like what is the point of watching everything that comes out of our mouth? And I mean, the world doesn't have QC to check our words. Why should I, and they don't check their words. We're doing all this because it is tapas. And tapas is supposed to burn our impurities. And tapas is supposed to allow us to generate a tremendous, not generate, it's supposed to allow us to conserve a tremendous amount of energy. When we engage in tapas, one of the things that tapas gives is conservation of energy. Then that energy will be there and ready to channel in any direction that we want, whatever it is. We'll see. It is not just, you will see in life also, it is not just spiritual people who have these qualities that are highlighted, but any great successful person to some degree will have to have these qualities. Like you might say, no, but you can find a CEO who is very harsh and rude and and curt and not nice and all of those things, right? But for them to have reached where they were, they also would have to have known how to speak nicely. That capacity to not speak nicely will be there at the same time as the capacity to speak nicely. But what got them to where they are is not the rudeness and the lying, it's the honesty and knowing how to speak. That got them the interview and got them to pass the interview and got them to get the business and whatever it is, right? So, really speaking, if you look, wherever you see success, you will see some expression of at least some forms of these different types of tapas. Something to think about. Okay, now the next tapas is tapas of mind. And it is, now we are on verse number 16. So I'll chant and you'll please repeat. Mana prasada saumyatvam.
Manah prasada saumyatvam.
Maunam atma vinigraha.
Maunam vinigraha.
Bhava samshuddhir ityetat.
Bhava samshuddhir yeta.
Tapo manasamuchyate.
Tapo manasamuchyate.
Okay. Tapo manasam uchyate. This is called tapas of mind. And now he gives a whole list that we will see. And you will notice that this tapas of mind is more subtle than the tapas of body that we saw and the tapas of speech that we saw. Tapas of body is at the level of the gross body. Use your body. Tapas of speech is more subtle because you have to think before you bring out your words. And tapas of mind is even more subtle because speech is external, even though you think before you speak, but at the same time, it is still external. There's an external element. With mind, everything is internal. Hmm? So what are they? Mana prasada, cheerfulness or purity of mind. Saumyatvam. Saumyatvam is gentleness. Maunam, being quiet. Atma vinigraha, being able to have control over our mind. Bhava samshuddhihi, purity of our motives. And then he says, this is what is called tapas of mind. So we'll see them one by one. Hmm? Mana prasada. This one is so important. Mana prasada, cheerfulness or purity of mind. Gurudev had a motto for Chinmaya Vidyalaya that was keep smiling. That was the motto he gave, right? Keep smiling. Not just externally. You know, some people they're very good at smiling externally. Like the air hostesses are the stereotypical example of that. They'll give you a smile outside, but inside you know that they don't want to be smiling. Means we say that. Some of them might actually want to, but that's what we say, no? You put a smile on and you go over there no matter what happens. But purity of mind or cheerfulness of mind is that smiling of the mind inside as well. When the mind is pure, it remains cheerful. And endless things are going to happen in our lives and in the lives of those around us. The capacity to keep the mind cheerful in spite of all of the ups and downs, that is called tapas. Means whatever happens outside is not going to affect the fact that I can keep my mind cheerful. My mind is not going to lose its balance because things outside are super exciting or super depressing. The mind remains in a balanced state. The mind wants to get swayed. The mind wants to feel sad. The mind wants to go through all of those emotions. But it is tapas to tell the mind, no, you stay as you are and you deal with the things as they come. Again, here, Bhagavan Rama is our example. When he found out that he had to become crowned king, he thought to himself, he didn't get excited and jubilated and, oh my God, and any of that, He thought to himself, well, what kind of law is this? The four of us brothers were born at the same time. We grew up together. We went to school together. We did everything together. But now, when it comes time for the kingdom, only one of us can be crowned. Why can't Bharata get the kingdom? This is his thought. So he remains so balanced that he's able to see the hypocrisy of the situation from his point of view. Huh? Who would think like that? Oh, you're getting the raise? Who cares about everybody else? Huh? Like that. So the capacity to remain balanced and see even a good situation as it is, that is a really great capacity. But you see his mana prasada even more when he finds out he had to go to the forest. I actually wanted us to see that line from Ramayana. This is in Ayodhya Kanda. Kaikeyi Ma has just explained to him about the boons that she asked Dashrath, and she's telling Bhagavan Ram that, so you have to go to the forest because that's part of the boons. Okay, go, bye. Like that. That's her attitude when she's telling him, right? And now Bhagavan Ram has to respond to that. He has just been told yesterday that he's going to be crowned Yuvaraj. And now, not even 24 hours later, oh, and that was by Guru. Guru came and told him. Huh? Now, on paper, his stepmother is telling him, no, actually, you have to go to the forest and Bharata has to become king. Huh? So now see the response of Bhagavan Ram. He says, this is after number 40. I'll just sing these 2 lines and then we'll see how beautiful it is. Manamusukai bhanu kula bhanu Ram सहज आनंद निधानु बोले बचन बिगत सब दूषण मृदु मंजुल जनु बाग विभूषण सुनु जननी सोई सुत बर भागी जो पितु मातु बचन अनुरागी तनय मातु पितु तो शनिहारा दुर्लभ जननी सकल सकल संसारा श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय राम Manamusukai Bhanukula Bhanu. Manamusukai. He smiled in his mind. Who? Bhanukula Bhanu, the son of the solar dynasty, Bhagavan Sri Rama. Then, Bole Bachana, Bigata Sabadushan. Then he spoke words that were free from all blemish. Mridu Manjula Janubhaga Bibhushan. And those words were sweet, and those words were pleasing, that he was like the very ornament of speech itself. And then Sunu Janani, he says, listen, O mother. But the word he uses for mother, in Sanskrit and in Avadi and in Hindi, there's so many different words for mother. The word Janani literally means birth mother, the one who gave birth to you. And of all words, at this time, when she has just banished him to the forest, he calls her Janani. It shows how in his mind, there's not an iota of agitation that causes a division between Kausalya Ma and Kaikeyi Ma. She doesn't drop in her status as mother in his mind, even at this time. Soi Sutu Barabhagi, that son is extremely fortunate, Jo Pitu Matu Bhajana Anuragi, who can follow the words of his parents, who's devoted to the words of his parents. Then he says the one who can satisfy the mother and father is the most blessed in this world. But the point is, then he goes on, and this is not Ramayana class, so he can't go on, but he goes on and he tells how he will, all the positives of going to the forest, and he tells the negative of going to the forest. So with his prasanna state of mind, his balanced, pure, peaceful, cheerful state of mind, he's able to see the positive and he's able to see the negative very, very objectively. So I'm sharing this because it allows us to think about what purity or what cheerfulness of mind actually looks like. Is that you see everything like rosy and good? No, Bhagavan is demonstrating. You keep your mind smiling inside, cheerful, but you're able to see very objectively the situation that is outside. Because of the cheerfulness of mind, we're able to see objectively the outside. And I'm sure you all know this verse. Prasannatam ya nagatabhishekatah tatha namamle vanavasa dukkhatah. His prasannatam, this mana prasada, did not go when he found out that he was being crowned. Neither did he become dejected when he found out that he had to go to the forest. So He saw both sides, but it didn't prevent him from remaining cheerful. This is a really great example of manaprasada. The question now is, well, how is this tapas? You see, to keep the mind cheerful, irrespective of ups and downs, it's worth thinking about, huh? Because this is the question in countless minds today, is it not? Free from stress, free from restlessness, free from anxiety and agitation. That is what this quality is. And that is what the whole world is struggling with. Huh? So we think about it a little bit. Because it's not enough to just say, hey, keep your mind stress free. Well, I would have done that by now if I knew how to. So let me think about it a little bit. Where does stress or worry come from? It comes from three places. It comes because of three reasons. It comes because of guilt of the past. It comes because of fear of the future. And it becomes because of anxiety in the present. Those are the only three reasons because of which there can be stress or anxiety in our life. When I when I was a teenager, somebody gave me a poster that said, "Why worry?" That was the title. Why worry? You're either going to live or die. Huh? You know, sometimes some posters, you just don't forget the wordings of them. So this is like imprinted in my mind. You're either going to live or die. If you live, there's no need to worry because you're not dead, apparently. If you die, you're either going to go to heaven or hell. If you go to heaven, there's no need to worry. And if you go to hell, you'll be so busy shaking hands with all your friends, you'll have no time to worry. I want to know who gave that to me. That I don't remember. But the point is, if your mind wanders into the future and worries about it, can it change anything that is going to happen, really speaking? There's a difference between making a plan for the future and worrying about the future. Guruji or Gurudev, one of them says, plan out your work and work out your plan. Huh? In that statement, where's the worrying? I've planned, okay, this is what I have to do, so I do it, that's all. Huh? I'm not making plans because I don't want to worry about the future. I'm making plans, and then I just follow them knowing that I'm following what I've set without the worry. Now it has to happen, let it happen. Huh? Because what happens is, when I worry about the future, it saps my energy from the present. I'm no more in the present to actually work on what is going to determine the quality of the future. Very ironic situation. Huh? Okay, so that is the future. We don't worry about the future because we understand that we can't change it. We just, in the present, work on the plan we have made for the future, and we leave the rest. Then past. What does brooding over the past do to us? Can it change anything? Oh my God. I said this thing to that person. And then I spend like the whole day feeling sad about how I shouldn't have because Bhagavan just talked about tapas of speech and then I didn't practice tapas of speech. Oh my God, I'm such a bad sadhaka. Oh my God, I'm so terrible. What is that kind of terrible feeling going to do for your life? Right? We're supposed to think about the past. We're supposed to accept what we have done. We're supposed to learn from it. And we're also supposed to accept that something will come as a result of what I've done. And I am at peace with it. Like if I decide to go and eat chocolate every single day, between now and the end of the year. Well, when I go on the scale, I should be at peace with the fact that my weight has gone up, because I chose to do that, right? So when I look to the past and I realize, well, this is the consequence of what I did, I have to be at peace with the fact that this is the result. Huh? The acceptance is what also brings peace to my mind. If you don't want that result, then don't do that action. Simple. And retrospectively, you can't change it, so you learn from it. Otherwise, you'll do it again. Hmm? That allows us to face today. The other final one is today, I want certain things to go a certain way. Hmm? If I do this action, I want this result. So now I'm worried. Okay, I should do this so I get this. Will worrying guarantee the result? Bhagavan, I worried 95%. That means you have to 95% guarantee me the result. You worry 0% or you worry 100%. You have zero control over what is going to come. So the tapas is, I'm not going to waste my energy worrying about something that I have zero control over. And so I control my mind from worrying, and I control all the energy it would have wasted in the worry. Actually, the way to practice all of this is summarized in something we've studied over and over again. Karma Yoga. That is what it is. Isn't it? Isn't it sounding like Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is tapas. Because it requires discipline. It requires training the mind to put the hands where the mind is. It means where your hands are, sorry. Instead of where it wants to be. It requires training the mind to not be distracted by desires and likes and dislikes and not insisting on the results and all of that. So mana prasada comes when we practice karma yoga, in short. Okay? Something, it's not going to change overnight, but it's something for us to think about and to try and move in that direction. That is mana prasada. Okay, next. Saumyatvam. Saumyatvam is pleasantness of face, a pleasant, gentle disposition. Some people, their face is as though stuck in like a sad position or a stressed position or a sulky position or an angry position. I read a story in an Enid Blyton book when I was younger that left such an impression on my mind. I don't know why, but in Canada and the US, nobody knows Enid Blyton. That's all we read growing up. Enid Blyton, I don't know how to say it. Anyways, there's a story, a short, she had books with like short stories. So one of the short stories was about a boy who was always sulking. Like every little thing that happened, he would sulk. And so one day someone told him, you better be careful and stop sulking, because if the wind changes direction, then you'll be stuck in that position. Because when the wind changes, then you can't change your face again. And he didn't believe her, and he didn't change his face and all of that. And then really, the wind changed direction one day and his face got stuck. And then I think the rest of the story, they had to go and find wind from somewhere else to come and blow it on his face or something crazy, right? But the point was, don't let your face get stuck in a sulky position, right? Saumyatvam, your face should always have a gentle disposition, a happy, pleasant disposition. There's some people you look at them and they're smiling and you think they're angry. Like they have it in shows also like that, right? And he's like, that's my happy face or something like that, right? Parshuramji was like that. You looked at Parshuramji or Yamaraj also. If Yamaraj smiles at you, I wonder what his smile looks like. But gentleness of face, the mind, the pleasantness of face. Actually, the best example is Guruji. Have you seen our Guruji, Swami Tejamayananda? Even when he's serious, his face has a pleasant, gentle disposition. Like you can't even imagine him getting really angry. He'll show anger, but with that anger, his face is still pleasant and still gentle. Now, this saumyatvam comes under tapas of mind, meaning that state of mind, when it expresses inside, it expresses outside with a sweet smile. Some people can pretend, but you can tell. You can tell if someone is smiling on the outside, but there isn't a pleasantness inside. You can tell. This thing that is being spoken about is that natural expression of an internal pleasant mind. And you can always know. Okay. How is this tapas of mind? Well, it is because whatever is in our mind is what is going to come to our face. Some people more than others. They make memes, not memes, they make reels and all, where people have faces with no filters. Have you seen? Someone has zero filter. Whatever they're thinking in their mind, they have it written all over their face. Someone says something to them and they squeeze their face like they don't like it at all. That's what their mind is thinking, no filter. Like that. Tapas of mind is the capacity to have pleasantness on our face because we found a way to control the negativity inside. Now you tell me, which one is easier? To be pleasant or to be not pleasant? But to be not pleasant, otherwise everyone would be pleasant. So it is tapas. It is not easy. Therefore, it is tapas. But it has its own, when you practice it, it brings its benefit, right? When the mind is not pleasant, it doesn't only come out in our expression, it comes out in our words, it comes out in our actions, right? Just a couple of little while ago in Ramayana, we saw the strength of anger is harsh words. Whenever there are harsh words spoken, anger can never dissipate. Its strength, its sustenance is in the speaking of harsh words. Like that. So everything that we do is connected to the state of our mind. If our mind is pleasant, everything will subsequently follow through. And it is tapas to keep the mind cheerful and pleasant all the time. But it's tapas. It's not easy. Okay. Next is monam. Monam is, well, everyone knows what monam is. Monam, when you say monam, everyone goes like this. Monam means silence. Don't talk. In the ashram, everyone was encouraged to keep monam like once a week, So there was, early on in our course, one person decided he would keep a lot of monam. And so for a few days in a row, he would go into monam, and at lunchtime, or at breakfast time, lunchtime, dinner time, he would come, and he's supposed to be in monam, but this was him. Those days he would make more noise than when he was not in monam. When you're supposed... Or he would go and he would get frustrated that no one was understanding what he was saying. And when you're in the course together and then people get jokey and all of that, everyone knew what he was trying to ask for, knew what he was trying to say, but they'd be like, no, I don't understand. What are you asking for? You want the spoon? What do you want? He would get frustrated, and then he would go and find the marker to go wherever they used to write our seva, then he would take that marker and write on the board what he wants in frustration. Right? That's not monam. One meaning of monam is don't talk. But when people try to keep monam, they end up talking more with their actions than if they just used their words. It is tapas because monam is, if I said I won't speak, well, the first thing is I have to remember that and not speak, like the monks. You know the story of the monks? No? Some people don't know it. Oh, okay. Then I have to tell it properly-ish. I'll tell it fast and properly at the same time. There were 4 monks, and they were in monam. They came from an ashram where monam was practiced regularly. And so they were supposed to be in monam for like a week. And coming to the end of the week, they were all sitting and studying together, right? And so the lamp with which they were studying, the the oil lamp with which they were studying, the oil started to get very, very less, and the light started to flicker. And you could tell that the light was going to go off soon. So now they're in Monam. And the first one says, Hey, this lamp is going to finish the oil. Someone go and get oil now. They were in Monam. And he said that. And the second one said, Hey, you spoke and you broke your Monam. The third one said, Hey, you spoke when you told him not that he broke his Monam. Huh? And then the fourth one was like, I'm the only one who didn't speak. It is tapas to remember not to speak when you have decided that you're not going to speak. It is great tapas to not speak when you've decided not to speak. Huh? Some people, they say, I'm not going to say anything anymore. Have you seen? It happens especially at the end of a fight. You'll hear this dialogue. I'm never going to say anything anymore. That is not monam. And that doesn't work also. You tell me, is it easier to say nothing, or is it easier to only say things that make sense? No comment. You'll decide for yourself, right? Actually, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya in this section, he defines monam as samyata vak. Samyata vak meaning controlled, measured speech. That is like true monam, is what he's saying. Now it sounds like this monam came under the wrong bucket. What, he ran out of space in the meter for vak tapas, so he just stuck it in tapas of mind, or what? It is because verbal monam requires quietude at the level of our mind. If our mind is not quiet, we cannot be quiet outside. The restlessness comes out in not only speech, but also in our physical actions. Have you seen? People will be clicking a pen or rocking a chair or shaking their leg. Any kind of external agitation is a reflection of internal agitation of mind also. So Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya is encouraging us to consider keeping the mind itself quiet, not just verbal speech. If our mind cannot be quiet, then what is the benefit of trying to control our speech outside? The mind is still talking non-stop, isn't it? The other meaning of monam is contemplativeness, meaning the opposite of impulsiveness. And the tapas would be, I have to control my initial response, think about it, and then respond deliberately. Meaning, I have to respond instead of react. Everybody inherently knows that too. You tell people that, oh no, I have to write a serious message, please, I need a few minutes of silence. I can't talk. Means I can't get distracted. I'm doing something that I need to think about properly and respond deliberately about. For that, silence is required, isn't it? For deliberate thought, silence is required. And so, in the same way, when we need to think properly, it requires silence of mind. Contemplativeness, not impulsiveness. Okay, the other meaning of monam is the mind does not make noise that we don't want it to make. All words cause disturbance in the mind? Not all words cause disturbance in the mind. You say Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram in your mind, that is a disturbing thing in the mind? It doesn't cause disturbance, right? So it is not true that all words cause disturbance in the mind. Certain words will cause disturbance and certain words won't cause disturbance. So when we listen to or read something inspiring, the mind doesn't feel, oh God, this is too much, I need to become quiet, right? But when it has thoughts of anger and jealousy and frustration and agitation, at that time it says, oh God, I can't handle these thoughts. It's too much, right? And then the mind tries to calm the mind down. To quieten those thoughts of agitation and anger and jealousy and all, that would be monam. Huh? So it's not thoughtlessness, but the capacity to shut off thoughts that I don't want to have as per um, my wish. This is another way to think about monam. And then, of course, the highest monam is to become silent in the experience of the self, where there's nothing to say, there's nothing that can be said, because all that there is experience itself. So now you have to ask yourself, well, how can I practice monam? Well, I practice monam at whatever level I am. I try and find a way to practice it. But one really, really nice way to practice it is also to take at least 5 minutes a day and say, I'm not going to speak for these 5 minutes. And I'm going to try to make my mind also free from agitating thoughts. Huh? Again, it's not about the mind becoming silent, but about becoming a witness to our thoughts. You can't control the thoughts that come, but you can control what you do when they come. Like, you're not the one who is saying them, you're not the one who is thinking them, but you will think about them if they come. Meaning, like, okay, see, I'm sitting here now quietly, and a thought comes. Now I have the choice. Oh, this is a bad thought. Why am I having this bad thought? I don't want to have this bad thought. So I've stopped watching the thought and I've started thinking about the thought. Huh? Tapas is to not hold the thought and let it grow. Tapas would be to watch it and let it go. It came and it went. I just watched it come and I watched it go. As soon as I give a little attention to it, it becomes more powerful in my mind, right? So one of the best ways we can practice monam is to just sit and watch our thoughts and try not to jump onto any of those thoughts and get carried away by them. Just watch them like cars going by. Good, bad, old, new, jealous, guilty, doesn't matter. They come, they go. Thoughts last literally for like 1 second. You know, the best example of a thought, I think, is a snowflake. You know, how impactful is a single snowflake? You can catch it in your finger and it will melt in 1 second. Huh? But when you let it pile and collect, well, you go shovel and then you know what a single snowflake can do when it is with other snowflakes. You come back and you're like, how is my hand hurting? Isn't a snowflake like zero weight? How do you get 0 weight plus 0 weight plus 0 weight to equal something so heavy? That is exactly our thought, actually. A thought is literally nothing, but it gets weight when you sit on it and you think on it and you hold it and you let it collect and gather momentum. And the thoughts come faster than snowflakes. So you can imagine that, right? Then suddenly you're trying to shovel this like heavy load of thoughts that could have just melted and gone like it never existed. Huh? So monam gives us that capacity. Slowly we watch our thoughts and we see. That's monam. So you choose how you want to practice monam. There is a great power in saying, okay, I'm not going to talk for the whole day. And hey, monam doesn't mean I can't talk to you right now, I'm busy. And then we have our phone and we're texting other people. Someone texted me one day saying, I'm in monam. Hello, texting counts as talking, just in case you didn't know. That was the funniest. I mean, they didn't know, but it was really funny. Okay, next one, Atma Vinigraha. Atma Vinigraha is control of mind. Control of mind meaning my mind should remain under my control. You know, you read these sci-fi books from the past. Past, oh my god, I'm calling it past. Like when we were in school, we read a book. This would be maybe like 20 years old now. Um, what would happen if computers or robots took over humans? Huh? That kind of story they come up with. And then you realize, oh my god, it's a really scary thing. And then, the way they portray it and all of that. And you realize, okay, computers are fine as long as I have control over them. Mhm. They're very powerful, they work for me. But as soon as it starts becoming disadvantageous to me and taking control over my life, then it is a big problem. Correct or wrong? Computers, technology are a wonderful creation. Huh? But if instead of helping me, they take control over my life, it has ventured into the danger category. Mhm. The same thing has happened with phones, actually. People got phones, smartphones, to help them in life. Correct or wrong? That was the whole thing, no? You get this phone and it will help you, and then you'll have so much time and your life will be awesome. And that was the pitch. What is the biggest issue of the current generation? Screen time. Imagine, because they have no control over the phone anymore. Huh? Now you imagine somebody being cut off civilization for 15 years. So you go back to 2010 ish. 2010 ish is when I think around the time where iPhone 4, iPhone 5 would have been coming out. I think that's the gen of like iPhone 4, 5 ish, right? And BlackBerry, that was the generation of BlackBerry. Around 2010, everyone was in BlackBerry mode. Then you show up 15 years later in civilization, and you hear words like screen time, digital detox, doom scrolling, Zoom fatigue. What do these words mean? It shows how in 15 years these things have taken over our life, actually. Huh? And it's tending more and more in the direction of them gaining more and more control over us. Huh? But the point is, when it is under our control, our life is awesome. When it is not under our control, it is scary and dangerous. Huh? Now you imagine the mind that made all of this wonderful technology. Huh? How powerful that mind is. What that mind can do. When my mind is under my control, meaning the control of the intellect that is trying to grow and follow dharma, it can give you moksha. When the mind is not under my control, meaning it's following its own whims, its own fancies, it's following trends, well, that leads to the state that people are going through in today's day and age. Agitation and frustration and all kinds of, well, you know what happens when you can't control your mind. Okay, bhava samshuddhi is the next one. Bhava samshuddhi means purity of intention or purity of motive. They don't have any higher ulterior motive in their mind. Like here in Guyana, there's a bridge being built between East Coast and West Coast. We have lots of rivers in Guyana, and the different parts of Guyana are separated by sometimes large bodies of water. So we have a bridge going from where we are in the ashram on the east to the west coast. And that bridge is really old, and when a boat comes, a tall boat, then they have to shut down the bridge and open it, and then all traffic stops. And that's the only bridge you can use to get from one side to the other side of the country, right? And then at traffic time also, it's only a 2-lane. So at traffic time, you can imagine how chock-a-block that thing gets. And then traffic moves in one direction and everybody else has to wait, and then it moves in a different direction. It's terrible. Like people on West Coast don't like coming to East Coast, and East Coast don't like going West Coast because of how bad that is, right? Now, they're building a new bridge that is supposed to circumvent this whole problem, and it is tall, and so it doesn't ever need to shut when a big boat is coming, and it is bigger so it can handle more traffic and all of that. Well, it is supposed to be finished in August, which is next month. Huh? And there's the big conversation about whether it will actually finish in August, because when you go and drive there, it doesn't look anywhere like it's going to be finished. But everybody is saying, no, 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 it will finish next month, as promised. Why is everyone so sure? The answer is because it's election year. They have to finish it when they promised. What is the motive of finishing the bridge? Not that I promised to finish it, but if I don't finish it, I won't get the votes or whatever. I mean, that's what people are saying. The motive of finishing the bridge is not to deliver the promise, but to win the election. Uh, let's see. I mean, I'll update you all and when we have class in September whether it actually got finished. But, it's currently in question mark status. Okay, so this is mental tapas. This is tapas of mind because it is so easy to have ulterior motives. Is it not? Super easy to have ulterior motives. Huh? Even simple, honest things like telling the truth. Okay, telling the truth. How can there be an ulterior motive to telling the truth? Isn't telling the truth good? Well, there can be. See, I tell the truth so people think I'm a good person. And because I'm a good person, I will get hired and I will get recognized and I will get more business or whatever, right? Or if someone is not looking for money and they're looking for recognition, oh, they'll say I'm an honest person. I'll be known as an honest person. So there's a very subtle thought in the mind that could exist even with such noble qualities. So this motive is something that we have to be very, very, very careful about. Huh? And the danger with it, the problem with having ulterior motive, like see, if someone says, well, what is the problem with having an ulterior motive for honesty? At least they're being honest, isn't it? At least they're being honest. But the problem comes because it shows that what you really want is the other thing, not the honesty. Because, like, see, if I actually valued honesty, then I wouldn't be thinking about what honesty could give me. As soon as I start to think about what honesty can give me, if I can get that other thing without being honest, then I'll be ready to drop the honesty, isn't it? Because really speaking, the honesty was the means for me to get the recognition or the business or the whatever. Now, I'm using honesty as a means for an end, which is something else. If I can get the end in an easier way, who will be honest? So that is the danger of having ulterior motives when we practice values also. So we have to watch our mind. When we're doing selfless actions also, we have to ask ourselves, why am I doing it? When I'm practicing any value, I have to ask myself, why am I doing it? And only you will really know. And sometimes our mind lies to us also. That ego is so smart. So it really takes a lot of integrity and a lot of awareness to actually consider the motive in our mind. A lot. But it's tapas. And a simple way to test it is, what if everybody could hear my thoughts? Like every single thought of mine. So you imagine the world has changed now, and just you have like the thinking bubble on top of your head, maybe 5 or 10 of them on you like a halo. Okay, you've developed like you got a boon or a strap, whichever way you want to look at it. And now you have thinking bubbles halo on top of you. And every single thought that crosses your mind, when you're by yourself or when you're with other people, it shows up and everybody can see it. Will you be disappointed? Will you be worried? Or will you be like totally fine? No problem. We're supposed to get to a point where I can have that thinking halo over me and be zero worried. Meaning there's nothing that I have in my mind that needs to be hidden because of lack of purity. So this is how to test our bhava samshuddhi. What if somebody could hear my thoughts? So these are the different tapases. These are the different forms of tapas of the mind. How do I know if I need tapas in my life? How do you know if you need tapas in your life? Well, here are some questions you can ask yourself. Because it's very hard to tell the mind, yes, yes, you need to do tapas, right? Here's some tests. 1. Am I always tired before the day starts? 2. Am I always stressed? 3. Do I feel like I don't get time to do the things that are important to me? And then feel bad when I realize I could have used my time better? Huh? You know that experience? Like, did I just lose half an hour doing nothing? Like, I could have done this thing that I really want to do in that time. Huh? Tapas is the discipline that allows me to regain control over my life and conserve my energy so I can redirect it in the direction that I want. Okay? So you just imagine what life would be without stress, without worry, without lies, never having to get out of a web, without the mind doing something that you don't want it to do, and without feeling trapped in your own mind. You know, people feel trapped in their own mind. Well, when we practice tapas, it frees us from all of this. There's tapas of body, there's tapas of speech, there's tapas of mind. Bhagavan has given so many different ones. We can think about all of them. We can slowly, slowly try to practice them one by one. Now, this tapas of body, speech, and mind can be done with an attitude, with a sattvic attitude, with a rajasic attitude, with a tamasic attitude. 3 types of attitude it can be done with. But we'll see that next week. We'll pause here. So much to think about in tapas of mind. We can read these words and we can say, oh yeah, tapas of mind is purity of motive, it is monam, it is saumyatvam, means gentleness of face, it is keeping the mind pleasant. Okay, move on. But how's that going to benefit our lives? Like, Bhagavan is taking time to tell us this is how to practice this tapas. So we should take time to think about and see how to bring it into our lives, no? Really, you could spend like a whole week just on one of them and think about it and see what is it that makes it hard to practice it, and then take another one for another week, like that, and go on experimenting and thinking and seeing what comes to mind and seeing the challenges and seeing what makes it easy and all of that. Okay, I will do one Om and then I will open if anyone has any questions today. Or not necessarily questions, if anyone wants to share anything, any reflections, anything that anyone wants to say, we have some open time after this. Om